Joining me now to react to all of this and more, Michigan Democratic Congresswoman and former CIA analyst Elissa Slotkin. First, it's very clear on climate how important this is going to be. John Kerry is not the Assistant Secretary for Environment or a special envoy out of the State Department. He is at the table in the National Security Council in the White House, and he knows better than anyone how you can be not in the game if you are over at the State Department, even if you're not in sync with the President of the United States.
Yeah, and also, I mean, who better than John Kerry to be able to pick up the phone and call, heads of state and secretaries of state around the country,
Exactly.
around the world, and be able to talk about those priorities kind of on a first name basis is a really interesting approach. And I think it's new, it's different, and hopefully gives some heft to the issue.
And what about Avril Haines? I assume you worked with her. She was Deputy CIA Director. You were a CIA analyst?
Yeah, we worked together when she was at the White House, and I was actually just texting with her, congratulating her. She's fantastic and really methodical, thoughtful person, someone who understands the role of the intelligence community and what it's supposed to be by law, what it can be. And I think having her at the helm, obviously, I was in the office of the DNI when we stood it up, when there were 5 of us who were standing that up. So it's really great to see her taking that position, hopefully once confirmed, and then bringing a different perspective, a younger perspective. I think it's great. We have our first woman. I think she's going to be great.
We're also hearing beyond Kerry and beyond Avril Haines, they've now announced, obviously, this first Cuban-American, first Latino, and an immigrant to be head of DHS. I don't know if you've had experience working with Mayorkas, but it does seem that this would be a very significant signal.
Yeah, I mean, he's fantastic. And we did many, many meetings around the Situation Room together. And I think the overall picks just demonstrates competence, right? Good old-fashioned competence, people who know their jobs, they're experienced, they've worked within the system. It's just like any company. You want someone who has an idea of what the department or agency can do. And all of these folks have been tested. They've had those moments where they had to make split-second decisions. And so it's just a real emphasis on people who know how to work.
One of the things that's also striking is this is not your team of rivals. This is a team of people who've worked together before, and there is nobody closer than Tony Blinken, to Joe Biden on national security, as well as Jake Sullivan, of course. But going all the way back, Tony Blinken has been at his side. And so this is going to be potentially the closest fit since maybe Condi Rice as Secretary of State and George W. Bush, or Jim Baker and George Bush 41. In that, in the past, there's always been schisms between state and the president.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because you're right. I mean, I have certainly seen where you've had the Secretary of State who maybe gets out in front of the president, does something different than the president maybe would have intended. I've certainly seen that. And I think you're just not going to have that problem that Tony Blinken knows Joe Biden extremely well. And you're just not going to have a seam between them. And that's important because as we sort of reinvigorate our role in American leadership, we are, the Secretary of State is going to have a lot of work to do. And you need to know that that person has the backing 100% of the president.
Now, let me ask you about what's going to happen, I guess, in the next hour in Michigan. Those canvassers are supposed to meet. They're supposed to certify. There are 4 officials, but at least one of the Republicans is talking about not going along. This could deadlock. And will that delay certification and throw it into the courts, leave it up to Governor Whitmer? What's going to happen here?
Yeah, so we're all waiting with bated breath for 1 o'clock to watch this body that most of us in Michigan didn't pay a whole lot of attention to in previous elections because our democracy was working. And we don't know. It literally will come down to one man in his 30s, a lawyer who I hope will do the right thing for the country, for the state, and do his job, which is to certify these elections once every single county, Democrat and Republican leaning, has already certified in our state. If it doesn't happen, well, then we've got a problem. It will likely end up in court. No one wants that. No one wants to create more doubt and sort of lack of clarity in our system. My office is getting 30 calls an hour about the election and people feeling like Joe Biden didn't really win. And this is all proof to them that we've gone off course. And so the faster this ends, the better. The governor has some options, as does the Biden campaign, but they often end up in court.
And one other thing, by the way, as you know very well, more than 157,000 votes, I believe, or 55,000 votes in Michigan, compared to what Donald Trump won by 4 years ago there, which was 10,700. Quick question about the defense authorization bill, because you also worked at the Pentagon. There's talk, NBC is reporting, that the president's planning to veto it if it does not strip out that provision, which would force the removal of Confederate leaders' names from the bases. Where do you see a compromise on this?
Well, listen, I mean, Democrats and Republicans in both the House and Senate have compromised on this. We have good legislation, good language in that bill, and both Democrats and Republicans support it. It's just the president out on an island by himself. This is the bill that makes sure our military get paid and get pay raises, and make sure we fund our entire military. And I think what we need to do is pass a bill and send it to the president. And if he is really going to go out like that, right, veto the payment of our salaries to our uniformed military because he wants to continue to name bases off of traitors after traitors, he should have to live with that. But the House and Senate have done our jobs. We should get it to the president and, frankly, call his bluff, because this is the wrong issue to veto that bill on.
You could always try to override the veto.
You can.
All right. Alyssa Slotkin, always good to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.